Right guys, hello, another video for you, back from the dead. The Nexus 7 2013 Wi-Fi edition tablet still being used in 2021. The big news is Lineage OS recently released 18.1 with official support for this legacy tablet as well as quite a few other legacy devices. So that's kind of cool, bringing Android 11 to them. The point of the video is to make you aware of it, let you see it working on this tablet, let you know what I think of it and just give you some hints and tips to help you guys out if you're thinking of doing it yourself. So we'll break the video down as I always do with timestamps, help you find what you want to see, although I really suggest you do watch the whole video. I'll try not to make it go on too long. What we'll just very quickly do is give you the history of this particular tablet. And it wasn't mine, it was my mum's. She bought it back in the day to read books, an e-reader, to do Kindle, stuff like that. She loved it right up till the day it died. She brought it to me, it said Google on the screen. There was no little white padlock that would normally turn up before the operating system loaded. The logic board had died. So I said to her, okay, we obviously like reading on it. Let's get you one with a bigger screen, a better tablet, which we did. And she said, well, yeah, it's bigger, but it's heavier. I miss this tablet. I love this tablet. It's the right size, the right weight. So, okay, fair enough. I go on eBay. I find another logic board. It's got 32 gig of storage, same as what this had. That was 30 odd pound, something like that. So I thought, well, that's not too bad to bring this back to life. Ordered that up. Some of you might have one of these just tucked away in a drawer that you want to bring back into service. Maybe the touchscreen stopped working. Maybe the screen broke and you've still got it. Well, a replacement screen's about £20. They're not particularly expensive. The good news is this is actually quite pleasant to work on, unlike other devices I've done in the past, like iPhones and iPads. I wasn't worried about breaking antennas as I was taking the back off. There's plenty of YouTube videos about taking these apart, working on them. Honestly, it's not too difficult at all. So I managed to get the new logic board in there, put it all back together. To the guy's credit, he had updated it to Lollipop, which is as far as Asus went. Asus made this, not Google. So there would be no more security updates. There would be no more operating system updates unless I chose to modify it and put a custom ROM on there, custom operating system, which is where Lineage OS comes in. So that brings us to the next section of the video, which is doing the modification itself. Now, some of you might have some experience with it already with your phones and tablets. Cool. You still will want to watch this because I'm going to give you some hints and tips and just let you know about my experience when I did the update to help you out. Those of you that are new to this, be aware you do this at your own risk. If things go wrong, there is a potential that you can brick or break the device, and that's on you. Don't blame me, don't blame anybody else. The instructions themselves, they're very comprehensive, but it does say please read through the instructions at least once before actually following them, as to avoid any problems due to missteps. So in the description of the video and in the comment section, I'll put links so you can get to this website and other useful files you guys will find useful. Okay, so it's going to treat it as if it's a completely stock device and give us all the information that we need. And as I said, again, please read it. Anything in red is super important to read. That's a warning. So yeah, just take your time. Just be aware. So anything in green is a link. We can click on it. So it says make sure your computer has ADB and fastboot. Setup instructions can be found here. So let's click the link and we can do our homework, get all the files that we require. It says enable USB debugging. Again, that's in green. So we can do our homework, get all the stuff that we need. So it starts talking about the command prompt. So on your Windows taskbar, that little white box, type in CMD. Here we go. All right, command prompt. So run that as administrator, and you can go to where your ADB folder is with the files to type these commands in to get the stuff done. Unlocking the bootloader only needs to be done once. So some of us have done this already, but if you've got a stock device, this will need to be done as the first step. It starts talking about using a custom recovery. It says you can download Lineage Recovery. That's a green link. So the zip file is the operating system itself, and the image file is the recovery. Recovery is in the name. Grab both of these files, put them in your ADB folder. What it really should say is you must download Lineage Recovery. Some of you will have a little bit of experience doing this. You might have like TWRP recovery. Cool, that's what I had. The problem we have is that TWRP says this is the flow, but the images that we're getting from Lineage are calling it FlowX. You see that in the name. So when I tried to flash the operating system with TWRP, it was the latest version at the time. It went no bueno, no good. I'm not doing it. You've got the Flow, and this is for the FlowX. So I had to switch from TWRP to Lineage Recovery. All of these instructions are for following using Lineage Recovery. So make life easier on yourself. Use Lineage Recovery. So it's given us the instructions, what we need to do using the command prompt to reboot into the bootloader, fast boot devices, and it's telling us it will temporarily boot into this Lineage recovery. So where it says recovery name, we're going to type in the name of that recovery image we downloaded. You can rename them to make life easier when you type these commands in. So the next thing it says is about EFS persist backup. It might lose your IMEI, which is like the digital serial number for your particular device, as well as the Wi-Fi and BT MAC addresses. So it highly recommends that you back this up. It tells us to go into recovery, select advanced, enable ADB, so it will start, the tablet is in a state to accept the commands. I've seen on Reddit people saying, I don't have the option to do that. It's because they're using a different recovery. They're not using Lineage recovery. They're not following the instructions. That's why they have problems. So it starts to talk about PowerShell. Ignore that. You can just use command prompt, which we were using before. Same difference. We're going to type in ADB shell, press enter. That opens up a terminal on the laptop, and it's going to accept the commands we type in. So we've got dd if blah, 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 blah. Just type that line in, press enter, then do the next line, press enter, type in the third line, press enter, finally exit, press enter. That brings us on to the next command, which is to pull the backups into that ADB folder. So we do each of these lines, pressing enter one after the other, and then those three files you'll find in your ADB folder. They're backed up safe on the off chance something does go wrong. But yeah, hopefully everything will go just fine. Now it starts talking about the repartition, which might get some people a little bit scared. So we'll just explain what's going on. It's an old tablet, and over time, operating systems have got bigger and bigger and bigger. So we can't fit the operating system and the Google apps on the old device as it is. We've got 16 gig of storage, 32 gig of storage, whatever it is, but how it's divided out, we have a partition for the system, partition for cache and storage and so on. So we want to adjust them to make sure we can fit the operating system. Now, some of you might have done this already. Cool. I did too. So with TWRP, there was a zip file that went around to very easily do the repartition process. What it did, it took a little bit of the cache partition, resizing it to increase the size of the system partition. Which incredibly easy to do very quickly. The problem was it didn't really make the system partition big enough. I was stuck at 16.1 Lineage OS. I couldn't fit 17.1 and the G apps on, so I certainly couldn't do 18.1. So what I personally did was I went, okay, there was the undo repart.zip file that came with it that will put things back how they were. I will do that. I don't know that I need to, but that's probably a good idea because this new method I'm going to use is probably expecting it to be the stock device how it was originally set up. So to save any headaches, that's what I decided to do, and then proceeded with the Lineage recovery with these next steps. So it's telling us you need to apply update from ADB. Tablet's ready to accept the commands. We're going to do ADB sideload. It's given us the green link to get the zip. And you see it's got the date stamp at the end. It's named differently to what the actual command is. So just put it in your ADB folder, rename it repart.zip, whatever you want to do to make it easier. So we do ADB sideload repart.zip. Because it's in that ADB folder, we don't worry about the path. Just push enter, and then we can do ADB shell, press enter, and then modify, and it will work its magic. It will repartition the tablet for us. And it says it will automatically reboot into the recovery once complete. And we want to go into the bootloader, reboot to bootloader, and use fastboot -W to format the data partition. And then we're going to do another command, which is, before it was just temporarily in the recovery. Now we're going to do it permanently. Flash the Lineage recovery on there. It says reboot, make sure that it installed correctly, that we're in the recovery, do a factory reset, format the system partition, then when prompted, select yes. We finally get to installing the operating system now that we've done the repartition. So we've already grabbed those files, grab whichever one is newest. Maybe you want to use 17.1, I don't know, but grab whatever's the latest version for what you want. We also want the GApps as well. Very important we grab those. You see that's in green as well. So we want 18.1, mind the GApps mirror, and we grab the ARM version, not ARM64, must be ARM. So again, rename it, get rid of those date stamps at the end if it makes it awkward to type in the commands. So we're in the recovery, factory reset, format data, basically follow the instructions. We're going to return to the main menu in the recovery, and we're going to sideload that zip file. So we do apply update, apply from ADB, so it's ready to accept the command, ADB sideload, then type in the name of the Lineage OS zip file. So it says at 47% it will report failed to read command success. Even when it gets to 47%, it will be a little bit longer before it actually does complete. Don't panic about it. If it says 47 and you think it's frozen, it's fine. Just give it a little bit of time. What we do immediately after that is then do the same command, ADB sideload, but put the GApps on there. We must do this now. Do not restart it, try to load the operating system, and then come back to do GApps later. Because if you do that, the apps will just crash. You'll have no end of problems. So it talks about putting add-ons, so I'll assume that's to do with routing the tablet. If you want to do that, other zips to flash, I haven't bothered with that, but that's really up to you. So once that's done, I should point out when I did flash the GApps, it did say they weren't verified or failed verification or something like that. Did I want to install them? I just said yes. It worked fine. So just be aware. Then did the reboot, and it takes a little bit of time to do the first boot. You'll see a line moves across the screen, and then over time eventually little circles will come up and it says Lineage OS, and it will boot into the operating system. And then you've got your first setup, so you've got to put in your Google email, put in your password, and then you can start to set it up. It probably took me, well, I don't know, maybe a little over an hour. And the reason for that is just because I was doing the Google apps manually. As we go into my Google folder, so we had the Play Store, but everything else, Gmail, Google Photos, all that stuff, I just typed Google in at the top, and grabbed the apps that I wanted. The other thing I need to point out, I'll put a link in the description, you're probably going to want Magisk. So this will be an APK. You can actually download it on the tablet, to be perfectly honest. We're going to install the app, and it says check safety net. So when you tap on that, it will give you the option for it to modify your tablet to pass the Google safety checks. Now, the reason we do that is, say you want to use Netflix, you'll find that you couldn't find it on the Play Store. It doesn't think the device is compatible because you've failed the safety check. Once Magisk has done its magic, then you'll be able to find Netflix and get that installed. We'll talk more about Netflix later. There's other stuff you need to be aware, like it'll only play in standard definition because we've done this mod. So those of you that want high definition content playing, do not do this modification. We'll just go through. People all want to know about the battery life. Kind of irrelevant. I don't know what the state of this battery is to yours or vice versa. I do know that the tablet takes a reasonable amount of time to charge. It's old tech. I do have a wireless charger for it because I don't want to wear out the USB port on the back of it. But yeah, performance is good enough. Like, it's an old tablet. I don't expect miracles. The 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi does work. When I was on 16.1, I did have some issues with that, which I then later discovered was I just had put the Wi-Fi channel too high. A lot of my other devices were fine, but the actual tablet did struggle with that. So if you're having problems, just do check what you've done with your Wi-Fi router. Bluetooth works. I've got a retro gaming pad here, which is Bluetooth, works fine. Location works, casting works. That's obviously how you see the image on the screen. Got no real complaints with the tablet. So of course we can go into settings. We know about developer options because that's how we did the modification in the first place. It should be a well-known trick by now, but some people might not be aware. So we're just going to look for the animations. Keep going. We've gone too far. There we go. Window animation scale, transition, and animator scale off. Turn all of them off. We don't want to see them. Whatever it takes, half a second for it to play an animation. We just want it to do what we asked it to do. If we want to see the apps, we want to see the apps. We don't want to see an animation. So it can just help the tablet feel a little bit faster. Samsung stuff is notorious for just feeling slow and laggy because of these stupid animations. So some of you will notice that I do have the app drawer button there, and you'll think, oh, it's not Android 11, it's an old version of Android. No, it's just because I use Nova Launcher. I've got that installed. I've used it for a very long time. I can change how things look and how things work, and I choose to use the app button mainly because of my mum. When she first used the phones and tablets, that's how they worked. She's old. She gets confused if things change too much. So whenever she gets a new phone or a new tablet, I just set them up exactly the same. So she has nothing new to learn. I've kind of got in the habit of doing it for myself as well, just so you're aware. So yeah, let's start talking through some of the things that I use on the tablet and on my phones that I find particularly useful. Might help you guys out a little bit. So I've got the folders. All the stuff is grouped together to make life easy for myself. I've got the remote section. Some of you might not want to use it, but I find it quite useful. I've got Android TV app. That will control my Shield TV or my Philips Ambilight Android TV. Core is the official remote app for Kodi, which is media player software. I have that on my PC, I have it on this tablet, I have it on my Shield TV, I have it on my Android TV, I have it on laptops. I use it on pretty much everything. It's awesome. So that's the official app to control it. Yahtzee will also control Kodi, and it can do Yamaha audio video receivers and all kinds of stuff. Arguably much better remote software. I use that more than Core. Shield TV is basically the Android TV remote app, but it's specifically for my Shield TV set-top box. Pretty cool bit of kit. Had that a long time. VLC remote is to remote control VLC media player on my PC. Find that useful sometimes. It brings us on to media. We'll talk about Netflix in a little bit, but let's just start off with Kodi. So I've got Matrix version 19. It is the latest version. I have a little box called the HD Home Run, a little black box. The TV aerial plugs into it. This box plugs into my router, and then anything on my network, whether it's Wi-Fi or wired, has access to those TV channels, and I access them through Kodi. So it's pretty cool. I can be in the kitchen, out in the garden, wherever, all around the house, and I've got a TV. My mum wanted the TV in the kitchen, but you've got to have a TV in there. It takes up space. It's like, we can just do it with a tablet. It just makes more sense. She was like, oh, that's quite cool, kind of cool. So she did get a little bit worried about Kodi because she heard about the third-party add-ons and how people do stuff illegally, watching movies and shows. I said, no, everything you'll have will be legit. We'll back up your music CDs to get your MP3s. We'll back up your DVDs, the TV channels, everything. It's all legit. So it's very, very cool software. Just show the TV comes on. So we've got the news, Southeast today. Give that a tap. So the thing in the UK, we only get a handful of HD channels anyway over the aerial. So standard definition to me, it's not major drama. The problem we have with Netflix. We'll just point out, I do also have a TV guide, which the HD Home Run official app doesn't do. So I can see what's on the channels, what's coming next, a little way ahead. So this is all very, very useful. All the movies and music is on a hard drive plugged into my router, so anything on the network can also access those files. Kind of useful. Let's open up Netflix. I installed this through the Google Play Store. You'll see people online saying, oh, you need to download this certain APK to use it on the Lineage OS device. Well, no, I did the magic with Magisk. It passed the safety check, found Netflix, installed it. That's it. The only problem we have is because we have modified it, it knows it's modified and it will only play standard definition content. Doesn't matter whether you've got a HD or Ultra HD package, this device will only do standard definition. It doesn't really bother me because the screen is quite small. I just have it on in the kitchen in the background. I'm used to standard definition because of the TV, so for me it's not a major drama. I'm not going to play anything because there's not a lot of point. I'm casting. It's not going to look great. Even if it was HD content, it wouldn't look great. we lose a lot of fidelity with the casting, but it's just so you can see Netflix does work. So I've got YouTube there. Disney Plus, I haven't played anything with it because I don't have the subscription. I'll wait for the Mandalorian for the next season, then I'll pay for the month, watch the Mandalorian. I'll let you know. But it did find it on the Play Store and it did install, so I hope it will just work just as well as Netflix did. VLC Media Player there. There's the HD Home Run app, which I don't really need because of Kodi. Got Kindle to do the books from Amazon. Moonreader Pro is an e-reader, so I've got my Walking Dead comics and other books and stuff like that, which I like to read with that. It's very cool software. So we've got Spotify there. Some of you will know Joe Rogan, his podcast moved from YouTube over to Spotify. He made a good chunk of cash out of that. Very happy for him. I do enjoy some of the interviews he does with people like Elon Musk. So yeah, Spotify is there. I've got my media apps put together. You might use other things if you're an American cousin. There's Hulu and all these other kind of apps you can use. So yeah, you guys do what suits you. We'll start talking about the gaming stuff. I don't really do any of the touchscreen stuff. I don't do Pokemon Go or anything like that. I do retro gaming though. That's kind of cool. So we'll just quickly talk about that. I know some people are interested. I will do a more in-depth video if people ask me to. Arc Browser is a front end. What that does is it catalogs my games, shows them, so I can just easily load them, no matter how it's going to be done, whether it's RetroArch, which can emulate many systems like the NES, the SNES, the Mega Drive, the Master System, the Mega CD, the PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, so on. So RetroArch is very, very cool. Drastic is a dedicated emulator software to do the Nintendo DS. So again, Arc Browser can load the NDS games from that app. We've got M64 Plus FZ does the Nintendo 64. Scum VM is for retro adventure games like Curse of Monkey Island, Sam & Max, Day of the Tentacle, Full Throttle. They're actually very funny games. They hold up to the test of time. They still look pretty cool, and they work quite well on the tablet. So yeah, there you know. We've got Steam Link, which will let me play the games on my PC on the tablet. I can use a Bluetooth gamepad, put the tablet, go out in the garden, and play what's on my gaming PC. It's kind of a cool feature. Some of you will want to use stuff like Redream to do the Sega Dreamcast. That will not work. It is down to the age of the tablet and the graphics chip. The OpenGL version it just isn't supported. It just won't work with Redream. So some stuff won't work, simply down to the age of the tablet. But those of you who are interested in what stuff runs, I can do a dedicated video, but just try not to be too ambitious. We can do Dreamcast for RetroArch, but if you stick to the really retro stuff, you'll be absolutely fine. I've got the apps folder, so I've got Explore there. That's a file manager. Really like it. So yeah, I use that. Wi-Fi analyzer is so I can scan the Wi-Fi, make sure that my channel, I'm not getting a lot of crosstalk from the next door neighbours. They're all different. You might live in an apartment or flats. You've got lots of people around you, and it's very difficult to escape your neighbour's Wi-Fi signal. But yeah, that's why I have that app. We've got Sigic for maps. That means the maps are actually on the device. I don't need the internet, so I don't need a Wi-Fi or a phone signal. If you're driving around and you lose your phone signal, you'll lose navigation. So that can be an issue for some people. Depends where you live. Got Philips Hue to control light bulbs. Don't have too many apps on here. Don't need to worry. Then we've got the Google folder. I already said I had the Play Store, but a lot of this stuff I put on manually. I should point out, yes, the assistant does work. Open Netflix. There you go. So yeah, some people like to know about that. So I think that's it, guys. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer it. It's not, the quickest tablet in the world, but then it was made in 2013. I don't know what you expect. It's perfectly good enough. I'll just quickly open up Chrome, let you see the browser open up. There is a built-in browser that comes with the OS. Is it a little bit quicker? Maybe, but that's down to the fact it doesn't try to load up all of these images and news items. So yeah, it is what it is. It's perfectly usable considering the age of it. So we'll leave it there. Have a great day. Have a great evening, whatever you choose to do after watching this, and As always, I'll see you when I see you next. Ciao for now.